Good evening and welcome to New Street Station in the heart of Birmingham. Well, this multi-million pound revamp that is going on around me is a crucial part of the regeneration of the Midlands. Now, this station is a gateway to the region, but for years it's created a rather drab first impression to what is increasingly a very vibrant city. Well, on tonight's Midlands Today, we're going to be taking a look at what is the largest and most complex construction project in Europe. Our transport correspondent, Peter Plisner, looks now at how our past is shaping our future transport network.
Dark, dingy and dated, New Street, once dubbed Britain's worst railway station, is effectively a massive black hole in the ground. Although it's disliked by many, the station is pretty vital, not just to local commuters, but also to long-distance passengers as it sits on the crossroads of the UK rail network. Becky Cotton travels from Rugeley in Staffordshire to Birmingham New Street every day. She's been commuting for 5.5 years, and the station, it seems, hasn't made the greatest impression on her.
I think first impressions for anyone coming in from outside, it's not very exciting, it's quite dull.
So it would just be the normal fare, it would be £3.40 single to international employees.
Daniel Brereton has had several jobs on the station over the last 10 years. He's currently working in the station's ticket office.
The current station, I'm sure it served its purpose in its heyday, but it's a bit tired and it doesn't really meet the modern demands that we get at the station now. The ticket machines are quite spread out.
Getting the money to revamp the station wasn't easy. At one point, passengers were given postcards to send to the government in an effort to force ministers to hand over the cash. An international design competition brought us what was immediately dubbed the Armadillo. The stainless steel look is set to create a new city landmark. Creating the reality meant building the first part of the new concourse in what was once a car park. The project has also seen the demolition, brick by brick, of an old council block of flats, Stevenson's Tower. It's making way for the new John Lewis store. And after all that demolition and construction, this is what the new concourse looks like. It's modern, spacious and very light. And at the halfway point, as you can probably see, it's already much bigger than the existing concourse. Today it's been a hive of activity as the concourse was being made ready for the big opening on Sunday. For the construction firm in charge of the project, working around a busy city centre railway station hasn't been easy.
It's an extremely challenging project in as much as we're trying to do major construction works, demolition works, over a live operating railway station. The station itself takes 130,000 passengers a day, and right above us is a shopping centre called the Palisades that has around 40,000 people a day. So it's a complex project.
Another focal point of the new station is the ticket office. Like other parts of the concourse, it's bright, modern and airy, and there's a whole bank of fast ticket machines that make it much easier to buy your ticket before you travel. And on the other side of the ticket desk, what does Daniel make of it?
The biggest problem we had with the old station was the glass barrier and people not being able to be heard or that, and hopefully it'll be a much more pleasant environment to interact with the customers.
Elsewhere, for the first time ever, there'll be escalators and lifts to every platform. Also, love them or hate them, there'll be more retail outlets too. The opening of the new concourse marks the start of phase 2 of the project, which among other things includes the creation of a massive atrium bringing much needed daylight into the station.
Well, Peter is over on the old concourse now. Peter, it's all pretty bright and shiny here, still a few finishing touches to be done, but what's going to happen where you are?
Well, Mary, tonight the station is very busy. Apparently there's a concert over at the National Exhibition Centre. It does illustrate just how this station is getting packed with passengers and more capacity is needed. What's going to happen here? Well, this will be cleared of passengers by Sunday when the redevelopment will start the second phase. What they're going to do is they're going to cut a big hole in the roof to create that massive atrium that you saw in my film. They've already started removing the tiles, so some work has already started, but as I say, once Sunday comes, the passengers will switch over to the new concourse and that will leave them free to redevelop this concourse.
So obviously when passengers turn up here next week, they're going to see a massive change, aren't they? But what about when they get down onto the platforms?
Well, that's one of the disappointing aspects of this first phase of the project. There won't be many changes at platform level. Yes, there'll be escalators to and from every platform, and there'll be lifts to every platform. But that modern look that we're seeing behind you at the moment, Mary, we won't see that modern look down on the platform until phase 2 is complete in 2015. It'll be much lighter, bright and airy, and there may be some daylight coming down onto the platform level from this new atrium.
So clearly lots of changes going on. Do you think there's some cause for confusion, possibly? Passengers not quite knowing where they're going and what's going on next week?
Well, Network Rail have run a big campaign to try and inform everyone about the switchover, but basically with this concourse closing, entrances that people use at the moment will close too, and that obviously means that there'll be perhaps a 5-minute diversion for some people as they use a new bridge that's been built that will take them to the new entrances. But for people who previously, say, used the Navigation Street entrance, which is the only entrance to the city centre up into Victoria Square, they'll have a brand new entrance to use, and that'll make a big difference to them. So some people will be winners, others will be losers, but yes, there'll probably be some confusion, but once people get the hang of it, I'm sure it'll be fine.
OK, Peter Plisner, for the moment, thanks very much. We'll be talking to Peter a little later in the programme. We talked about potential for confusion when passengers turn up here next week. The man to answer those questions is Mick Miller from Network Rail. There's still an awful lot of work to be done here, Mick. Are you confident it's all going to be ready for Sunday?
Yes, we're very confident it'll be open on Sunday. We're actually in the final fit-out phase at the moment, and we've still got about 1,000 workers on site at the moment. They'll be working round the clock to make sure that we open up on Sunday morning.
But this, to me, feels like a construction site, and you're hoping it's all going to be ready by Sunday?
No, it'll definitely be ready. What you're seeing is a lot of equipment in place that will be moved out over the weekend, but we are in the final fit-out stage.
Right, OK. So what about when passengers turn up here from Sunday? How are you going to make sure that they don't get lost and they know exactly where they're going?
Well, it's probably the biggest change that New Street Station has seen for 50 years. And we recognise that we're going to be closing the 3 access points that people normally get into the station and opening new access points. So we'll have about 80 travel champions, and we base that on the lessons we learnt in the Olympics to help people point them in the right direction and generally orientate them to the station.
What's been your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge has been this is a structure that was built in 1967. We've had to construct probably the most complex construction project in Europe at the moment over a live railway without cancelling a train or delaying them. So that's certainly been a challenge.
Now, all the changes that are going on here, does that mean that you've actually got potential for more passengers? How many do you have coming through at the moment?
Well, we can get on a busy day 140,000 passengers through New Street Station, and that's double what the actual capacity of the existing station is. Our growth forecasts go on, but of course we're only at the halfway stage at the moment, and we're going to be opening up the full station, which will be 3.5 times the size of the existing station in 2015.
Now, you've had to close the platforms once already. Presumably you're going to have to close them again at some point to revamp them.
At the moment, we've been working refurbishing one platform at a time. They'll be completely refurbished and they'll be opened in 2015. One of the great parts of the opening on Sunday is that you'll be able to get access to every single platform via a lift and escalator for the first time at New Street.
OK, Mick Miller, thanks very much indeed for
Thank
that. So be assured when you turn up here on Sunday, you will be pointed in the right direction. That's it from me here at New Street Station for the moment, but do join me later in the programme. We'll be looking back at the 150-year history of this station and what the future holds for New Street.
Other news now.